White writing on a black background, reading George Rogers Clark National Historical Park, Virtual Clark March, February 21st, 1779. Our narrator, a woman with brown hair and a green shirt in front of images of the Clark Memorial.
History is complicated. There are many sides to every story. History is made even more complicated when there are only a few sources to describe an event. We know when events took place and the general feeling of the men that traveled with Clark, and we have a good idea of where they took place. Today we will travel the last few miles with Clark and his men, using Bowman's journal written as the march took place and Clark's written memoirs written after the event. Today you will hear words that were inspired by these sources, words taken directly from them, but all staying true to the story of Clark and his men. Let us begin the tale with the last few cold days of the 19-day-long march across the cold and wet prairies of Illinois and Indiana with the words that Clark wrote to George Mason after the march. If I was sensible that you would let no person see this relation, I would give you a detail of our suffering for 4 days in crossing those waters in the manner it was done, as I am sure that you would credit it. But it is too incredible for any one person to believe except those who are well acquainted with me as you are, or had experienced something similar to it. Here we begin the tale of Clark and his men at a place called Lower Mamel, about 11 miles south of Vincennes, on February 21st, 1779.
Soldier 1. A young woman portrays a soldier in Clark's army wearing a green frock coat, standing in front of a blue sky river with snow on the ground.
Let me tell you, after crossing that river, we struggled from one small outcrop of land to another. We only managed to make 1 league, about 3 miles, to the next piece of ground, graciously allowing us out of the water. That one spot we were on, the French with us, called Upper Mamel. From that point, we could see nothing but water all around us. The French said we could not go on, but Colonel Clark would not listen to them. Instead, he turned around and headed toward the canoes.
Soldier 2. Another young woman, wearing a different green frock coat with a red belt, stands in front of the same background, blue sky, river, and snow on the ground.
I was at the water's edge, and a bunch of others and I watched anxiously as Colonel Clark went in one of the canoes to look for a route. All we could see from our spot atop the Upper Mamel was water in all directions. When the colonel returned, he spoke serious-like to one of the officers. His face showed great worry, and we knew there was no way across the dreadful, endless waters. As these thoughts ran through my mind, the colonel poured gunpowder into his hand and added a bit of water. He smeared the blacky mess on his face and gave a war whoop that would have scared the bravest of savages. He then turned and plunged into the water. We were stunned. Several of the officers followed his lead and plunged in after him. What were we to do? We followed the colonel.
Soldier 1 has replaced Soldier 2.
Those waters were icy. The going was slow, and we used bushes and small trees to pull ourselves through the waist-high waters. My legs were so numb, and I was so cold that my teeth no longer were chattering. We had not eaten in 2 days, but my stomach no longer cared. I didn't think about being tired. I was so cold, it was just one terrible, intense step after another, each step taken without any thought. The water seemed to get deeper, and I feared the French were right, and that we indeed would not be able to go on. I was ready to quit, to be done with it all, but if the colonel would go on, I would follow. But then, a fellow near me said he felt something with his feet, felt it under the water. When we took a look at the ground, there, we thought we had found a trail. You see, the ground is different on a trail, and that's how we could tell. It was under the water. We alerted the colonel, who came to look at the trail. His face showed a brief smile, which boosted our courage. This trail led us to a small patch of ground called Sugar Camp, exactly where we are right now.
Credits: Lincoln High School Youth Advisory Council, Sasha Banzan, Emily Gartner, Delaney Anthus, Mary Wilson. Advisor, Miss Haley Lancaster. Video production, Lincoln High School Big Green Media Class, and teacher Rick Lang.